I would like to begin this video with a moment of silence. Thank you. We are gathered here today to honor the memory of a fallen comrade. Although he may have not been the most popular or well-known of our friends that we've had in the past, he was a very good friend nonetheless. This friend I speak of is none other than Eye of Ugin, one of the most infamous pieces of cardboard to ruin the game of Magic since Jace the Mind Sculptor ruined Standard back in 2010. Excuse me. While his memory may live on in other formats like EDH, Legacy, or even Vintage one day, we have to remember that just because it is gone forever in Modern doesn't mean that we cannot remember the career he had in this terrific format. Eye of Ugin came to us in the early months of 2010 during the original Zendikar block as part of the World Wake set. At the time, no one really understood what it actually did because it spoke of things called Eldrazi's, and no one really knew exactly what Eldrazi's were because no Eldrazi's had seen print at the time. Another strange thing about Eye of Ugin is it didn't tap for mana, and every land, or most lands at the time, did so. So it didn't really see a whole lot of play in constructed formats because of this. Although its tutor ability was used in formats like EDH at the start to fetch artifacts from your deck, it didn't really see play until the next set arrived a few months later. This set was titled Rise of the Eldrazi, and it featured some of the biggest, most powerful creatures ever printed in the game's history. Because the biggest and most powerful Eldrazi were colorless, Eye of Ugin was used to help bring these creatures out at a much more efficient speed. Because of this, it saw lots of play in Standard during its duration there as a big piece of the Eldrazi ramped deck. After Eye of Ugin left Standard, it lay dormant for a little while as it didn't really see a whole lot of play in Legacy. However, in the middle of 2011, a new format was created. This format was called Modern, and it made it so Eye of Ugin and so many other cards that were printed between 8th edition and onward could be played again in a competitive format. Although it did take a little while for people to take notice, Eye of Ugin became a centerpiece amidst the Urzatron decks in the Modern format. There, it served as the same role it did in the Eldrazi ramp deck to get Eldrazi's out a bit faster, but also was used to search for artifacts. It remained a centerpiece in this deck for years to come, until the end of 2015, where we were introduced to the Battle for Zendikar block. Because we knew that the Battle for Zendikar block was going to feature several new Eldrazi's, people wondered what Eldrazi's would be in the set and if they could be used in decks that used Eye of Ugin. The answer to that question was an astounding yes. An astounding but unfortunate yes, as several of the colorless Eldrazi's were much, much smaller than the original colorless Eldrazi's that were printed in the original Zendikar block. Because of this, Eye of Ugin could get these creatures out as early as turn 1. Because of this phenomenon, so many of these decks were easily abused in Modern and were played constantly. Early the next year in 2016, the second and final set of the Battle for Zendikar block approached. Everyone wondered, since these decks are so popular, would we see more of these tiny Eldrazi's that could be cheated into play for no mana by just having an Eye of Ugin out? The answer was an astounding yes, as we saw tons and tons of tiny Eldrazi's that could be easily played on turn 1 and turn 2. Because of this, these decks skyrocketed in popularity and took the Pro Tour of that set by storm, as 6 of the top 8 decks in that Pro Tour featured Eye of Ugin and the infamous colorless Eldrazi. And now we are here. It is April 8th, 2016, and Eye of Ugin is no longer allowed to be played in Modern. It is gone forever because of these tiny Eldrazi's that are so easily exploited and easy to take advantage of and cause so many degrading and frustrating wins. But just because Eye of Ugin is gone forever doesn't mean we cannot remember the good things and the good times that we had with it. When you look back at it, Eye of Ugin had an amazing career in constructed Magic, in Standard and in Modern. While it might be gone for good, its memory will live in our hearts, in our minds forever, for the worse or for the better. I hold here in my hands my only copy of Eye of Ugin. Since I will never play it again in Modern, I think it is best that I hold a ceremony for it, wishing it goodbye from this wonderful format. Please, feel free to watch my ceremony as we wish this beloved card farewell. Goodbye forever. Farewell, Eye of Ugin. Farewell. Till we meet again someday.